My name is Awad. I am from Duhok originally, which is in the northern part of Iraq, in the Kurdistan region.
My name is Havar. I was born in Kurdistan. My dad was a freedom fighter, Peshmerga, up north. So people ask me what sort of city I'm from. I don't really have an answer because every week we were in a different sort of mountain spot.
My name is Hibi, and I am actually from Howraman, inside of Kurdistan. Howraman is actually a region that's closer to the borders of Iran, and we are actually a separate tribe from the rest of the major cities in Kurdistan. And we actually even speak a different language than those of the Kurdish cities.
During the late 80s, the Kurds were actually engaging in an uprising in northern Iraq for essentially independence or greater autonomy, if you will. At the time, there was war. The Kurds were suffering greatly, so in 1988 there was a mass exodus of refugees, Kurdish refugees from northern Iraq, fleeing. Many went to Iran, many went to Turkey. Our family was one of the ones that ended up in Turkey. And we spent about three and a half years in a Turkish refugee camp. And then in 1992, we were one of the fortunate ones to essentially get sponsored by part of the UN refugee program and landed up in Canada.
I was living with the Peshmerga, with the family, until I was about 6 years old, at which point we ended up escaping into Iran, which took us 7 days on foot. 2 horses, about 15-20 people. Can't really recall how many smugglers there were, but it was a journey that I'll never forget. Traveling in the night, hiding out during the day. Smugglers would take us into random people's homes and hide us in a shed until nighttime came, and then kept on moving along. Some beautiful memories, some sad ones as well. Seeing a lot of death, people who didn't survive.
My family actually lived in Halabja. Halabja was actually attacked in 1988, so my parents did experience the chemical attacks that had happened, and it was actually done on their home. So we stayed there for some time, and then my parents did have to eventually leave and move to another city, as this place was no longer safe to live in.
One of my parents' children died essentially of starvation. At a very young age, 1 or 2 years old, because there was no food.
You're not in a city, you're not in a village, you're not in a home, you're just in the mountains, and there's like a river going by, mountains and whatnot. So we were taught to know which airplanes were what, based on whether they were chemical attacks or they were the ones that actually, with bullets and explosions and just killing people randomly. So just looking at the planes that would coming, we'd be either running down to shelter that we had made underground. So that was one, and if it was a chemical gas attack, we'd run up there, up the mountains. Very, very few masks to share. And I have this memory of my sister, who's actually only 11 months older than me. And my mom just threw one of the masks and said, "Run up." And she's trying to grab me, run to go up the mountain. And the whole time I'm like, "Why do you wear the mask? Why are you putting it on me?" And I'm trying to take it off, and she's just like, "Keep it on, let's go, let's go." She's dragging me up the mountain. And as a little girl, I'm like, she doesn't have to wear a mask, so why do I? I don't need it. The whole time she's trying to protect me, trying to save my life.
My father was actually captured in 1990. And my mother was captured and I was captured. I was a 3-month-old baby, and I was imprisoned with my mother and my father. And I spent about 3 months in prison, and my parents spent 6 months in prison. So I was fortunate enough to have been taken out by my grandmother, and so she took care of me until my parents managed to actually escape the prison, because the rebels had come in the later on in 1990 to get out some of these people that were part of their organizations. So my parents managed to escape. We had to, of course, leave our home and hide away for some time.
The drive of the Kurdish people to seek independence, again, is not the novelty of having a country that we can call our own. It's more so that having an independent country, we believe, is the only way that we can guarantee our own rights, living within our own borders, dealing with our own internal issues, dealing with international issues. And rightfully so, like the land that we live on is historically been Kurdish. Like we're not trying to make claim or lay claim to land that is not ours.
We are the largest ethnic group, you know, globally, without a country to call our own.
We, as Kurdish people, need to do anything and everything to show our culture, to show our traditions and our values in a more positive way, not just what people see on the news, which tends to be quite negative. We do have a lot of beautiful traditions that people should see.
We've always sort of had our own language, and we've always had our own sort of cuisine, and we've always been a very, very different people to that of the Arabs. Like within Baghdad and whatever else, I was never able to relate to them because I just thought it was a very, very different sort of background.
Inherently, the Kurdish people are patriotic. I think because of some of the suffering that they've experienced. We're no different than anybody else. We're all human beings.
What it means to me to be Kurdish is knowing who you are.